Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Crime Tape Archives. I'm your host, Brooke Wright, and today's case is one that shocked the entire state, a quiet neighborhood in Virginia. So, a married couple, a newborn baby, and a violent crime scene. And the case that quickly became one of the most confusing and controversial investigations in recent memory. This is the Banfield case. As always, this episode is for discussion and commentary based on publicly available information. Everything discussed is part of an ongoing legal proceedings, and all individuals are presumed innocent until proven otherwise in court. So let's get into it. I, of course, have my slideshow. Let me get it, pull it up. I always create these little slideshows. Love them. So, gotta wait a few minutes for it to load. Should have done this before. Didn't know it was gonna take this long to load, but hey, it is what it is. Let's see. Still loading. So while we're waiting here, I tried to find videos of the Brandon Banfield case, but I do not want to get a second strike. So I am not going to do that. You can look at it on your own time because I'm not getting a strike. But here's my slideshow. Make sure. Okay. So before anything happened, Brandon Banfield and his wife Christine appeared to be living a normal suburban life in Virginia. From the outside, they look like a typical family home, marriage, newborn baby. Friends and neighbors describe the household as quiet and private. But as we often see in true crime cases, what appears on the surface is not the full story. So here's the second slide. That's their home. The incident took place in a residential neighborhood in Hurton, Virginia. According to reports, emergency calls were made from inside the home. What responders arrived to find would immediately turn this case into a criminal investigation. Police were called to a chaotic and violent scene inside the residence. Multiple people were involved, and investigators quickly began working to determine exactly what happened inside that home. So that's the picture of the home. I found the picture of the home. That's what it looks like. That's Brandon in court. So, okay. So, when I first came across this case, what stood out to me wasn't the violence. Oh, wait. One of the most important early pieces of this case was the emergency call made from the residents. Dispatchers received a call reporting an intruder situation. Emergency units responded immediately. When officers arrived, they secured the scene and began assessing what had occurred. At first glance, it was unclear who the suspects was or what sequence of events had taken place. That confusion is something investigators had to work through step by step. So that's him in courts. Okay. This is my commentary video. When I first came across this case, what stood out to me wasn't just the violence, it was the complexities. I cannot pronounce that word. Anyway, because at first the story presented didn't feel straightforward. Multiple narratives were emerging. multiple versions of the event. And in true crime, that usually means one thing: the full story is still being uncovered. I don't know if I have this slide on there, but we can see. Okay. Police immediately began gathering evidence from inside the home. They examined physical evidence, they interviewed individuals connected to the household, and they began reconstructing a timeline of what happened that night. One of the biggest challenges in cases like this is separating what was witnessed, what was assumed, and what can actually be proven. That distinction became crucial later in court. Oh, critical. I don't know why I said crucial. Anyway, here's the next slide. That's Brandon and the au pair. That's the picture of them. So, as the investigation continues, several key questions emerge. Who initiated the 911 call? What was the sequence of events inside the home? Were there multiple people involved? And what evidence supports each version of the story? Investigators began piecing together a timeline using forensic evidence, digital records, statements from those involved, and physical evidence from the scene. Each piece added another layer to the case. I don't know if I have that one. Okay. And then that's Brandon inside the hospital. You can't see it, it's cut off a little bit, but that's Brandon inside the hospital. Okay, so what makes this case particularly discussed is the lack of clarity in early public reporting. Difficult interpretations of the events have circulated widely, and depending on where someone gets their information, they may come away with very different impressions. That's why it's so important to rely on verified court documents and official statements, not speculation. So, what brings me to the question is, through my research, I really couldn't dig into what exactly happened yet. I'm sure there's videos, but I don't want to get striked. So the videos that I've seen, apparently the au pair and Brandon, I guess, were having an affair, and they plotted to get rid of the wife. And I don't know if they plotted to get rid of the child, but they plotted, I'm assuming, to get rid of the wife and to live this lavish, happy life. So I'm going to look more into this case, and I hope you do too, um, to get more information on what exactly happened. So, and what brings me to the question I want to leave you with today is, when a case is still developing, how do you separate facts from assumptions? How do we avoid jumping to conclusions? And how do we make sure we're listening to evidence instead of noise? This has been a Crime Tape Archives. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure you like, subscribe, and comment your thoughts below. What did you think about the Brandon Banfield case? Do you think it's too early? Um, do you think early reporting helps or hurts cases like this? Or does it make things more confusing? Until next time, keep digging into this case, because every case leaves clues. So we'll see what happens in this case. But thank you all so much for watching the True Crime Archives, or the Crime Tape Archives, and see you next time for the next true crime case. Bye.